The old desk clock hadn't ticked in years until one windy night it started again, bringing back a family I thought had slipped away. I live in a small house just outside Asheville, North Carolina, where the hills roll green and the air stays fresh. It was a quiet October evening when I sat in my kitchen, drinking tea by the stove. The wind rattled the windows, and the house felt calm with only the stove's hum for company. Then I heard a faint tick-tock coming from the living room where Mom's old clock sat on a shelf, gathering dust. I stood up slow, my back stiff from sitting, and walked over to check it out. The small wooden clock had a scratched face and still hands, silent since my grandson Jack left in 2015, after we got our wires crossed. This clock wasn't just a thing to me, it was family. Mom, Edith, kept it on her desk when I was a boy, winding it every night while she told stories about growing up in the mountains. I'd listen close, and my son Tom would bang his toys nearby. Later, Jack would sit by her feet as a kid, watching her set the time while she hummed tunes. It held us together through good days and tough ones, but when Mom passed, the ticking stopped. Jack stayed around for a while, helping me chop wood, until 2015 when he turned 20. I said something foolish about him not needing to stick around, and he took it wrong, heading off to Charlotte with a quick goodbye. The clock stayed quiet after that. The tick-tock faded, and I set my tea down, looking at the dusty hands. Thanksgiving was coming, and so was Jack's 30th birthday. I couldn't take the silence anymore. I muttered, "You're too quiet, old pal," brushing dust off the wood. I decided to fix it up by oiling the gears and cleaning the face, then give it to him as a gift to bring him back. My hands fumbled a bit as I opened the back, and a small paper fell out, written in Mom's neat hand. For Jack. My chest tightened. It was a piece of her I hadn't seen before. I grabbed my phone and called Tom, my son. "Tom, the clock's ticking. I want Jack to have it. Help me reach him." He sighed. "Walt, he's been far off. Might not hear you out." I said, "I have to try. Family's worth it." Then I called Ellie, Tom's daughter and Jack's cousin. "Check on Jack in Charlotte. Birthday's near." She laughed. "Grandpa, you're set on this." "I'll go." The night settled down, and I pulled out my tools, thinking of Mom's steady hands on that clock, pushing me to fix more than just its gears. The Asheville sun climbed high that October morning, shining through my kitchen window as I sat at the table, holding Mom's paper from the clock. I'd worked on it all night, oiling gears and wiping down the wood, and the tick-tock was louder now, stirring up old memories. That clock carried years of family love. Mom, Edith, used to wind it every evening, telling stories about growing up in the North Carolina hills while I listened. Tom would play nearby, banging his toys on the floor. Later, when Jack came along, he'd sit by her side, watching her turn the hands as she hummed soft tunes, her voice keeping us close. But 2015 changed everything. Jack and I had a mix-up after I said something dumb about him moving on, and he left for Charlotte, thinking I blamed him for Mom's passing. Now, with his birthday near, I traced my fingers over the paper. Mom's words stood out. For Jack, my pride. It hit me strong. Mom saw his worth, even when I didn't. I wanted him back, and this clock could be the way. Ellie walked in, Tom's girl, bright and lively. She said, "Grandpa, it's ticking good." I nodded. "Help me finish." "Jack needs it." We polished the face and checked the gears, but my mind stayed on him. 2015, his quiet goodbye. Believing he'd let me down somehow. I picked up my phone and called Jack. "It's ticking," I said. "Come see it for your birthday." His Charlotte voice came back cold. "Grandpa, I'm busy. Work's all I have." My heart sank. He'd shut me out since Mom passed, and my clumsy words made it worse. Ellie looked over. "He'll come, right?" I shrugged, "Maybe." "We'll take it to him." She frowned. He said no. "Why push?" I lifted the clock. "Family's worth it." "Mom say so." We kept working. The tick-tock rang clear, and I thought of Mom's hands, steady and warm, guiding us even now. The day stayed peaceful, and I packed the clock in my truck, telling Ellie, "Charlotte's not far. Let's go." She grabbed her jacket. "Grandpa, you're fixed on this." I smiled. "Have to be. Jack's ours." The kitchen fell silent, Mom's tunes in my head, and I knew this wasn't just about a clock. It was about bringing us back together, one tick at a time. The Charlotte street buzzed with afternoon noise that cool November day as I stepped out of my truck, holding the old desk clock close to my chest. Thanksgiving was near, and so was Jack's 30th birthday. I had driven from Asheville with Ellie, my granddaughter and Jack's cousin, to see him. The auto shop where he worked stood on a loud corner with clanking tools and oil smells drifting out. I walked up slowly, my cane tapping the pavement, heart pounding with hope and a touch of worry. I pushed open the door. The sound of engines filled the air. I stood there, waiting for him to look up from behind a car hood. Jack glanced over, tall and broad, his hair short and hands greasy in his work shirt. My grandson frowned when he saw me and said, "Grandpa? What's this? You brought that old clock here." I set it down steady on a workbench and replied, "Your birthday. Mom's gift. We need to talk." He stepped back and wiped his hands on a rag. "I told you I'm busy. Work keeps me going. Take it back." "I don't want it." I moved closer. "I'm not leaving until you listen. It's her, it's us. Why push it away?" His voice got loud. "Push. You're digging up the past. In 2015, you said I let her down. I left because I couldn't face that." His words hit hard, full of pain I had expected since 8 years ago, when he walked out, thinking I blamed him for Mom's passing, scared he'd failed us all. I leaned on my cane and said, "I never said that. I messed up. Mom wanted you close." He snapped, "Close? I left because I'd let you down. I thought I failed her when she died. Work's my life now, not old clocks." His voice shook and his eyes grew wet. I saw the boy who'd sat by Mom, lost when her stories stopped. Ellie stepped in from the truck. Tom's girl, cheerful and steady, said, "Grandpa, show him." I held up Mom's note. "Read this." Her words. Jack took it slowly, hands unsteady. Mom's writing was clear. "For Jack, my pride." He looked up, voice soft. "She wrote this?" I set the clock between us and wound it. Soft ticks filled the shop. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded sheet. "I kept this. Couldn't fix it. It was Mom's handwriting, a note about the clock." I turned the key. Mom's chime rang out. Jack's eyes widened. "She left this for me?" I nodded. "In 2015, she kept it for you. She never left." He touched the clock and tried to adjust it, but it let out a loud buzz like an alarm bell. I blinked and laughed. "What's that?" He grinned with a red face. "Oops. Sounds like a rooster." We both cracked up. He chuckled. "Awful, huh?" I laughed. "Edith would love it." The goofy noise cut through the heavy air. Ellie smiled. "That's wild." I said, "Her us hear it." Jack nodded slowly with Mom's chime in his ears. "I thought I failed her, failed you. I want to come home." The shop grew calm. His smile built a bridge, family tied by time and love. The Asheville dusk shone warm that Thanksgiving night, my small house full of chatter as the old desk clock sat on the table, its hands ticking steady. Jack drove back with us from Charlotte 3 days ago. His birthday brought him home. Tom, my son, walked in with Ellie and Beth, Tom's wife. Kids tagged along, Sam and Lucy, filling the room with noise. Plates clinked as we ate turkey and bread. I sat with a mug of tea, feeling light after 8 years apart. Jack tapped the clock's glass. Mom's chime played soft. He smiled. "Grandpa, I missed this, missed you." He had stayed. 3 days back, he said, "Grandpa, I heard her. I can't stay away." We sat with tea steaming and quiet words, then fixed it. Tom hugged him. "Welcome home." Ellie laughed. "Cousin's back." The clock stood with Mom's stories for Jack, family whole again. George, our neighbor, poked his head in. "Walt, clock's ticking now?" I grinned. Jack's touch. "Takes more than quiet to stop us." Jack looked up. "In 2015, I left because I failed her. I thought I let her down. I hid until this." Tom stirred cream into his coffee. "I thought you forgot us." Ellie nodded. "Cousin's the best." Jack smiled. "Best?" "In 2010, I lost Grandma. I thought I'd let you down. I hid until this played." I chuckled. "Let us down? We're tougher than that." Beth laughed. Edith sang with Lucy by that clock. Jack grinned. She'd love this, me here. The house buzzed. George told tales, Beth cut bread, kids giggled. I leaned back, happy with our loud, strong family. Thanksgiving felt full, roots deep through the years. Later, alone, I stood by it. The clock felt warm. Jack said, I hid until this. Mom's laugh rang in my head, a gap fixed by time, family solid, love and chimes all we need.